Hello, everybody. I'm Kipp Snow, Director of the Transportation, Distribution, and Logistics Institute at the Community College of Baltimore County.
Hey, everyone. I'm Mike Singer, the Community Manager for the Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Shipwatchers. Welcome to Two Guys Talking Ship Podcast, episode 64.
We've got some things coming up. We got a special guest coming up in our next episode. So we thought we would come in here a little bit earlier and bring you up to date with some couple of news and yeah. So we have some updated port news and things we'd like to bring to you. So we'll go ahead and get started into that. You'll go ahead and get to shipping updates.
Yeah, right before that. So if you're new to the channel or the podcast, you're watching on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe, hit the bell to be alerted to new podcasts as they come available. When I look back on some of the stuff we put together for this episode, I almost think, oh, it's just a bunch of little stuff, little dribs and drabs, but really all of it interesting that we wouldn't want to skip over, and probably we're the only people covering this stuff. So like, if you're really a Baltimore geek, if you're really a transportation geek, if you're really a port geek, I mean, good Lord, you've come to the right place for all this little stuff. All right, so I have for our shipping update, I've got like the last 6 weeks here in the numbers, and Kipp has this really cool chart. So I'll run through my numbers and then maybe you talk about the chart, huh? So last 6 weeks. So these are average daily truck transactions for the last 6 weeks. So 3,413, 3,346, 3,315. That's with 2 days off for Christmas. 3,043 with 1 day off for New Year's Eve. And then like the big rebound, 3,843 per day, man. With 2 days over 4,000 in that week. And then just this last week, this current week, 3,938 per day on average. I mean, wow. Do we have any idea when's the last time we had 2 weeks over 3,800 in a row?
Yeah, there was looking at the chart, we had some around the end of December back in 2023, there were some. So what I was trying to do with the last week's last episode's chart and this episode is to continue to build into the previous year's week-ending numbers, those averages. So I'm taking those metrics and doing the averages to align it. So what you see here is those weekly averages for those previous years. So in the dark blue here are the end of the year for the calendar 2023, and you could see a couple of those days in here. There was also week 49 that was a real for in 2025. Just last month there was a strong number there, but. Is it still a little for me? It's still a little difficult to see some long-term trends just with these numbers. It's just there's a lot of data that just we need more data to be able to kind of take a look at that. But even if you're looking at the 2026, I mean, you've got a strong uptick, and if you compare that to the green numbers here. This is all 2025, the back end. So you kind of had a steady, but almost you do kind of see that slight increase over those 8 weeks or so. You follow the kind of the trend lines just a tiny bit. So
yeah. And then always, of course, I'm always fascinated as to what are the specific whys to that. And I don't know, maybe in our third or fourth year we'll make enough contacts that maybe we can get into answering those types of questions, which I think would be really cool.
Sure. We know some of them have to do with, holiday related closures, and you're going to see some upticks on, on the front end and the back end of those particular dates where they have off.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
We know we're going to have some skewed data as we take a look at it with, 2024. But,
right.
I think that there are some those I would consider micro trends. Those are some very specific things that are happening within our port market that will contribute to some of those, slight daily changes. But then we also have to consider some of the macro economic related changes. Those what's happening with the economy as a whole, things like tariffs, things like export demand, policy changes. Those are all going to affect these truck transactions, but not on an individual daily basis. You're going to see more longer term trends upward or downward for those types of things.
I'm very thankful that the state, the Port of Baltimore, Ports America publishes this stuff publicly. Yeah. But it's but the ships are pretty much out there on weekends too. There might be a downturn on the weekend at times, but a lot of times we see ships out there on the weekend, and the published numbers only do Monday to Friday. So kind of makes you wonder. Of course, the totals would go up. Maybe the averages come down if we had a 7-day average.
Sure,
would make sense. Like I almost think, just off the top of my head, like if they started doing the 7-day, maybe we just do totals.
Weekly totals then at that point.
Maybe we just do totals. I don't know. But it is cool to be able to see this stuff, not just listen to Mike spout out a bunch of numbers every week.
Right.
It is nice to have the visual to be able to see what's going on. So that's really cool. Appreciate you putting that together.
Sure. All right. So there is a new rocket company in the port.
Rocket Labs is coming. Rocket Labs is coming. And so how long ago was it when we first talked about this? Do you recall?
It's been about six months or so, and when kind of the initial announcement came out.
Right. So I'll just go ahead and read some of this stuff. Okay. So there's a ship coming, and we found out about it from our sister group, which was really cool because the ship's not coming to Norfolk or Newport News. It's going to, passing through the mouth of the bay there, but it's actually coming to Baltimore. So it's really cool that I happened to catch this.
Sure. Yeah.
Probably like most of the stuff we do our stories on, I just happen to see things and like, oh, that's interesting. Let's put that in the podcast. And so the ship's coming, I think, with a rocket part or part of the fuselage. And we've been kind of waiting for this. I was assuming that they were going to go right into Middle River and go right up to that. So if you're familiar locally, the old plant there, I think where they used to launch the seaplanes, because you can see the cement just kind of goes right down into the water there. And I thought maybe they were just going to, because that's the only real water access, and it's in the same part of the campus where their building is. So I thought maybe they were going there, but no, the ship is coming to Dundalk Marine Terminal. So I wonder, are they going to transfer it to a barge? Are they going to try to truck it over there?
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And I got to admit, I'm glad it's coming to Dundalk Marine Terminal, because now we get to see it a lot easier instead of trying to catch it on the camera as it goes around the bend at Hart Miller Island, some 10, 12 miles away.
Gotcha.
So this way we'll be able to see it a lot more. But this is Rocket Labs, the company that took over some of the old Martin Marietta space or Lockheed Martin space in Middle River. The leading launch and space systems company, opening spaceships, space structures complex in Middle River in the former Lockheed Martin building for carbon composite and spacecraft parts, especially for their new medium lift launch vehicle Neutron and its spacecraft buses. So I'd be interested to know what that looks like. So spacecraft bus typically refers to a repeatable structure that has, avionics or propellant or, all the stuff that you need to make the rocket go. And it's kind of this repeatable structure that you put in every rocket. It's kind of it's not
a school bus.
No, well, well, it might be that size. But what I was initially thinking of, it's what was I trying to say? It's not like a part of the spine, right? But it's more like, I don't know, for lack of a better term, your brain, or like the brain of the structure, the guts of the structure that makes it work, right? And it's this repeatable thing. The ship was due on the 20th, according to marine traffic. But I think it's going to be due in on Wednesday, the 21st, thanks to my buddy Chuck, one of the camera chatters, who has a capability to look at like exact tracks and calculate mileage. And I'm like, hey, can you do this for me? Come up with an estimate.
Sure.
Because it says it's due in tomorrow and it's off the coast of Carolina, and I don't think that's happening. So this is the world's first carbon composite orbital launch vehicle. So we've been making like carbon fiber, like missile structures and housings, but I think this is the first time we're doing a orbital launch vehicle with the outer structure made of carbon composite. So
sure.
And then supposedly that opens up a whole bunch of things as far as lift, distance, cost. When you're making something, it's not out of steel anymore. You're making it. It's probably I don't know, 1/3, 1/4 of the weight. So how much propellant you need to put in to escape Earth orbit, you're able to do a whole bunch of different things with that type of structure. So sure. I'm really excited about it because I've been kind of waiting for this. The backstory is I worked at NASA on satellite structures for decades. I no longer work there, but rockets in space still excites me. So sure. To see two of my biggest hobbies or interests come together to see this thing come to town, pretty cool. And cool. I've been waiting for it to come to town and really hadn't thought about it in a while. And there it is off the coast. That's what the ship looks like. You can see these two things kind of on the bow. So those are supposedly, roto sails that rotate up. I have seen in other pictures, they show them vertical. I thought it was something like, like the rocket sits on that and it's some kind of vertical turnover kind of thing. No, I think they're sails.
Interesting.
Yeah. So quite interesting. Should be neat to watch it come to town.
All right. So not in direct Baltimore news, there was, there was an incident down in Florida, I believe, with a harbor pilot. And but so I know that you wanted to announce this and then kind of explain, the importance of safety.
Right. Right. As we, we're all fascinated and interested about the port and we see the ships coming and going, and we know they have bay pilots on them all the way from the ocean all the way up.
Yeah.
And we know the pilots get on and off, and every once in a while we get to see it on our own camera here. But probably a pretty close knit community, and so down in Florida they lost a pilot this week. So I just kind of wanted to highlight, as stuff keeps coming and going, right? Ships coming and going in and out of port all day, at all hours, every day, in the dark, in the wind, in the rain,
ice and snow.
It was in the teens this morning. And so think about that. You're trying to climb a ladder, or so anyway, I wanted to read this. St. Andrews Bay pilots are deeply saddened to announce the passing of Captain Philip Brady, age 46, on January 12th. Captain Brady, 2001 graduate of the United States Merchant Marine Academy from Mobile, Alabama, had served the state for 6 years as a Harbor, Florida pilot in Panama City. He tragically died after a fall from a pilot ladder while disembarking the outbound vessel, the MV Lowlands Luck. Despite immediate and heroic recovery efforts by the pilot boat operator, Captain Brady succumbed to his injuries. So maybe we need to do some better planning. I was all excited about doing this rocket story, and then we transitioned to not a very happy story, a very tragic story,
Sure.
even though it's not local. I'm sure our local pilots know all about this and feel a certain connection because they all do the same job, and I'm sure it's quite the small community.
Right.
But luckily, I happened to be looking at the camera this morning. A ship was coming in, and I happened to catch a pilot going on board a ship right here in our harbor this morning. So let's see if we can watch a little bit of this video.
So this is a picture of, like you said, out in the harbor this morning.
Mm-hmm.
This is just after the pilot vessel approached the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Notice how, I mentioned this to you. I was impressed with your camera skills to be able to maintain the same camera speed turning while this thing was. You can notice in the background.
You can see the person climbing up the ladder, and wow, he seems to be really good at that and climbing fast. I was kind of surprised about. Oh, look at the ladder swinging in the red. Can you see that? He got off the ladder, and the rope ladder is swinging after he got off of it. And there goes another pilot. Maybe a trainee. I have no idea. I'm just guessing, but so kind of interesting how this came about. I had sent this story to Kipp days ago about them losing this pilot in Florida, and then I'm on my computer like every other day with a camera open, looking at what's going on out there like every other day. I see a ship come by, I'm following it, and then, oh, here comes the pilot boat, and I just happen to catch this. And so if you look up on the top deck, you can see people walking on the top deck as they're going towards the stern end of the ship. Yep. And then what I think the protocol is, so the pilot boat will, stay against the hull at that speed because they're going to go all the way up to the helm of the ship, do the official exchange or transfer. And if I don't know what I'm talking about, or I'm not using the right words, Mike@BaltimoreShipwatchers.com. All the pilots can yell at me, send me 10,000 emails. I don't care. I'd rather have it. I'd rather be corrected and have it right than just somebody assuming I know what I'm talking about. Just let me know.
Sure.
So they do the exchange or handoff, and not until then does the pilot who's been on board up the bay do the walk down across the deck and down the ladder onto the pilot boat, and then the pilot boat leaves. So it is a significant evolution to make that exchange. It does take a bit of time, but I wanted to show you what it looks like here when it actually happens. So you can see what's going on when we talk about another pilot losing his life in another port here on the East Coast.
It's at least kind of gives you a perspective of some of the elements that they've got to deal with.
Right. And then you think about this morning, I have a weather station out in the back of my house, and it said it was 18 degrees this morning.
Yeah.
So you're climbing up a ladder. I don't know. Does that ladder have ice on it? You know, are the ropes slippery that you have your hands on for how many feet as you're climbing up the ladder, and then you transition to the metal part that you walk up, and what are the conditions of that like? And as many of these transitions as we have, as they have in every port, it's really cool that this doesn't happen more often.
Right. So, well, that's some tough, tough conversation and discussion to have, but it's important for everybody to understand that there is some danger to that particular job.
Yeah, there's some pretty close to heroic folks out there making sure you get your Temu order
right. Exactly. Yeah.
On time this week.
On time. Yeah.
So, all right, I wasn't able to attend. I had some stuff going on with work, but you were able to get to the BPA meeting this week.
Yeah, briefly, we went in really quick for that meeting, and it was this past Friday at the pilot's office in the city.
Mm-hmm.
The things that this was their bi-monthly meeting that they typically have for updates of what's happening out in the port. The biggest things, there was it was a report out by Customs and Border Protection on agricultural related searches and seizures. There's a number of pests that are coming in that there are some concerns of, so they made some mention of that. The Sail Baltimore folks, Naya Noraki was there with her staff to present on the Sail Baltimore summer activities that's coming up in conjunction with the America 250 celebration. I found out that we're going to have Navy ships from the U.S., the United Kingdom, and Canada in port that week.
Very cool.
And we're going to be the only port that has an air show. So we're going to have the Blue Angels.
Really?
Yes. I was surprised that when they said that, but not only are we going to have the Blue Angels flying, but we're also going to have the British Red Arrows and the French Patrol de France jet teams in port that week.
Wow.
So I'm curious to see how all of that's going to work. I understand that the British Red Arrows and Blue Angels will be stationed up at Martin State Airport. And during the week when they're not flying, there may be chances to do a site visit, meet the pilot type situations. The French Patrol de France team will be stationed out of Joint Base Andrews.
Interesting.
And so there'll be festivals.
Maybe there's just not enough room for all three of them in one place.
Sure. so there will be festivals all throughout the city,
Mm-hmm.
and they are moving one of the Ready Reserve Fleet ships out of Port Covington or Baltimore Peninsula
Mm-hmm.
for some tall ships to be docked up there
That's
for
wild.
being able to go look at actually go and visit some of these ships.
Do you have any idea? Are they just going to take her down to the Anchorage in Annapolis and just
I
have her? Yeah.
they were not specific about
Yeah.
which one and the times of day, so they said
Right.
that they
You know
were.
how Mike's head works. Oh, well, what did that mean? And where is that happening? You know, so.
And then there was some announcements for speed restrictions for the right whales off the right there at the opening of the bay.
Mm-hmm.
So that was
Our
some.
friend there, the lady who speaks about that?
Yes,
Was she there
yes,
specifically?
yeah. The lady from NOAA was there just to speak
Mm-hmm.
about that. So it was
Mm-hmm.
talked about some of the recent sightings and where some of the different speed ranges were. And then
Cool. Like
Jonathan
after
Daniels
the
got
sorry to interrupt. After the
okay.
last meeting, I wound up talking to her, and we did a card exchange, and I kind of wanted to um, be able to talk with her offline and maybe get some more information or maybe have her
Sure.
onto the podcast. And of course, none of that ever happened.
Oh. Well,
But
I
we can
think we can
work on
still,
that for the
yeah,
future.
we can follow back up on that
Yeah.
one. And then Jonathan Daniels spoke. He made a statement that said that there were a record number of vessels that came to the port in 2025. He didn't
Really?
mention the numbers, so I do want to backtrack on that and find out what that new record was, what the actual number.
Wow.
But he also talked about the kind of the overall health of the port and our region related to maritime shipping.
Mm-hmm.
There is concern about volume and continuing to be sustainable from an economic perspective. And we here in the port really need to use our collective bodies to make sure that we're competitive against our sister ports like Norfolk and up in Delaware and Philly. And
Mm-hmm.
it made sense because there are different kinds of competitive advantages that each one of the ports have. And so
Mm-hmm.
he discussed quite a bit the double stack rail opportunity that's coming online, and that will help us. He also talked about the Sparrows Point Container Terminal helping us from a overall port perspective,
Mm.
but we have to be careful not to be dealing with that zero sum game of okay, well we have one terminal who's now
Each one's
responsible
doing
for
half
these.
as.
If we're moving carriers from one terminal to another, that's one. We're not really addressing the overall port health at that point, and I understand that. So my hope is with the Sparrows Point Container Terminal coming on,
Mm-hmm.
coming online, that the carriers that move into that terminal will be replaced by other carriers coming into the port.
Right. Right. And, I was curious about how do you go about doing that? How do you go about recruiting them? Who are you on the horn with? Who are you calling? How does that work? Because my assumption is since since a new container terminal at Tradepoint is a partnership with MSC, and there was an effort by MSC to kind of privatize, build their own terminals in certain locations. Um, I'm imagining basically all the MSC ships are going to go to Tradepoint once that comes online, which will, offer some space for some new customers to come in and fill that. And how does all that work? I'm
Right.
fascinated to know. about.
I would imagine that there is a plan and that they are already working to say, hey, look, we know at this particular time frame we're going to, have to address those business opportunities. Let's start working on that now.
Right. Like, it's might be sort of synonymous, but the one thing I can point to when I worked for Orbital Sciences, and we were doing satellite TV satellites. And, so when companies or the government or whatever would put out a request for proposal, right? And then you would respond with your bid, the company would respond with their bid, and they knew that they would win about 25% of their bids, right? But they also knew how many satellites it took to keep their company running, with how many employees, how many designers, how many engineers, how many people are making parts, building satellites, integrating them, putting them together, shipping them out, right? And so they used it as a numbers game, as a goal. Okay, we know we have 5 or 6 satellites in the pipeline. We know we win 25% of our what we bid, so we know we've got to bid on X amount to get, you know what I mean? It was very structured in how they did it. So be curious, to know. I'm sure there's a plan. I'm sure they're already working on it. I'm just curious how it works.
Sure.
So okay, if you need, I don't know, a ship or two extra a day starting in 2029, what do you have to do to reach that goal? So that you're basically not like what you said, zero sum game. And now the guys who are working at Seagirt are just running back and forth between 2 different terminals.
Right.
Now, we really don't see ships waiting around. We really don't see container ships waiting around in Annapolis as a regular thing. Right. Mostly what's waiting around in Annapolis are empty coal ships coming in to fill up with coal. You do see some container ships down there, but it's not like it's a regular thing. When there's a big container ship sitting down there for a couple of days, people are taking pictures of it and going, wow, look at this.
Right.
But just paying attention to things that the way we do, and looking at the schedule, looking at the 3 berths at Seagirt, there doesn't look like there's a whole bunch more room to add a whole bunch more ships. So maybe it does make sense to add this capacity before you need it. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. You sent me a message earlier in the week too that there was a weird looking ship in port, and as I was coming through the harbor tunnel, I looked over at Fairfield and saw it. So this is the.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. It was sitting up there being discharged. So.
Oh, okay. I saw it when it came in, and I saw it when it left, and I don't remember how long it was in port, and I don't remember where it went. I know it was at Dundalk. Oh, that's right. It did go to. I'm sure you're right. Yeah. So this thing, this is the ARC Endurance, originally built as a container ship in 1996 for Wallenius Wilhelmsen, which is interesting because we only know them as a ro-ro company here, right? As the Taranga, she was converted to all roll on roll off in the 2000s. The entire top deck was originally built to stow containers. Demand for ro-ro increased, so they covered the top deck with more covered stowage space. The nickname for that modification was the garage, and I guess that's sort of what it looks like up there.
Kind of looks like it.
There were 3 other ships similar to this one that were converted barber line ships, all of which have been scrapped. So this is the last one. Now this ship has been here a few times, but it's been a minute, as they used to say.
Okay.
So kind of cool to catch it here because it is quite unusual.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, you're talking about inner harbor dredging. We were talking a little bit about it, but you've got a map to explain it, I believe.
Right.
What's happening?
So all the way to the left of this map, that inner harbor wall there where, they would put some ships, and that does say, what does it say, 24, or, and the one closer to the corner says 14. Anyway, so as you kind of follow, so can you just highlight where that shaded portion is?
Right
Like
here.
where Dundalk Marine, no, where I'm
Oh,
sorry, where Domino would be, where it says Baltimore Harbor Northwest Channel.
yep.
Right. So that's kind of the end on the right side of this image. That's kind of the end of the Federal Channel. I don't know that the rest of this to the inner harbor, right? Past the old Allied Chemical Factory where the sand pit is, and past the new hotels and all that. I don't know that any of this has any regular dredging maintenance on it, right? And it's not really marked as a maintained channel. So I'm glad, but I was also surprised to hear that they're going to be dredging a channel 150 foot wide and 25 deep to the inner harbor. I would imagine they would mark it, but maybe they don't. Maybe the tugs will just use their electronics to guide these ships, and
Sure.
keep them in the new channel. Because remember, there was a little bit of an incident where one of the guest ships actually got stuck on the bottom, right there at the wall, right next to where the Constellation is. And then I think when it got free, it hit another ship that was there. So, as we're, gearing up for the biggest shipping visiting event, Fleet Week, in years, it makes sense that they're going to do this. I'm still thrilled and surprised at the same time that they're able to make this happen. Especially in this kind of economy, and everybody's wondering where the money's coming from, and so a really cool thing, I think. So also this week, the governor met with some folks and came away with an announcement that the Key Bridge would be accelerated and cheaper. And I was kind of wondering, how does that work? Because if it goes faster, aren't you throwing more labor at it? Nobody works for free, so then don't the costs go up? I mean, all we have was this kind of one-line announcement that he and, what was it, transportation secretary, who was it that he met with, and they came out saying the Key Bridge here, and I'm sorry, I forget the name of the bridge in DC that is at capacity and they need to expand it. And folks, traffic down there is horrible.
That's the 495 American Legion Bridge.
Is it 495?
It's
Okay.
it's the 495 beltway around DC that comes in through Maryland.
Okay. But just for us locally, like that kind of didn't make sense to me. How do you make it faster and cheaper? Do you want to try to expand on that at all, or?
Yeah, and part of my challenge with this discussion was that there wasn't any specifics beyond the agreement that we're going to build it faster and cheaper, there were really were not any specifics, and I don't know that you really can come up with specifics in a meeting of that caliber.
I know they did say that they were going to meet again, I thought, to come up with some more detail, and that more information would be forthcoming. It's just, I kind of heard that, and I'm like, and maybe there are ways to bring in, I don't know, an efficiency specialist, a planning specialist to pack the schedule in more efficient. I don't. We're just guessing here, but on the surface, faster and cheaper just kind of doesn't seem to add up.
That's what the project manager is supposed to be doing.
Right.
That's what they do, is they manage the time and the cost associated with the project. And if somebody comes in and says, hey, it needs to be more or less or faster or slower, they've got to adjust the project plan accordingly.
Sure.
Where and how all this happens, one of the things they talked about was a public-private partnership, which means an example of a public-private partnership that we know very well is Ports America's Chesapeake's a partnership and agreement with the state of Maryland to operate Dundalk and Seagirt Marine Terminals.
Mm-hmm.
You can do those things where you can contract somebody and then they start making investments in the bridge, but they're going to also be charging somebody for that, whether it's charging the state back or charging us with some type of tolls or fees or something, along those lines. There are ways to address the labor aspect of it. If you put more people onto a project, it should go faster, but there is a cost associated with that. And if you're putting more people on it, then you're paying more. And if they're working more hours, including overtime, then there's an extra amount of money that's going to take place. So if you want to do something faster, you put more labor to it. If you don't want to increase the labor costs, it's going to take you longer. It's that, it's almost that basic.
Which is why that's where my question came from. I'm like, okay, how does this work?
And that's the reason why I said it's almost that basic. It's, you're going to have, in today's labor market and labor structures, you have union outfits and non-union outfits, and they're going to charge accordingly. And you're going to get different qualities of work out of that. So you have to kind of look at, where am I going to pull, where am I going to get my labor? And in this market, there may be, general jobs that we can use the local labor market for. And but there also may be specialized jobs that are kind of a one and done transaction within this particular project.
Sure.
That you may have to bring specialists in to do that specific work that you're not able to hire within the local market. And that's going to cost more in order to get that in place.
Right.
And your argument may be, okay, why don't you train somebody here locally to do that? Well, if this is the only job for that specialized opportunity, they now have to go and look for work elsewhere to go continue that trade, or they got to be retrained in something else to be able to continue on. So it's not an easy answer. It's not just we have 40,000 people in the market ready, who are looking for work. It's not easy to just go and say, okay, you 40,000 people just start building a bridge. There is training and and a knowledge base behind that. So even the cost associated with training new people is an extra cost on top of this. So there's a lot of factors that go into this. It's not just, hey, we got people who want to show up to work and let's just start turning a wrench. But I don't know of any bolts that, there might be some wrenches that need to go onto a bridge.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm sure there's
So even with
section,
even with material costs, if you're buying it, if you're making it and buying it domestically, there may be a higher cost associated with it because of the labor associated with the making those items. If you outsource it, you're dealing with tariffs associated with the import aspect of that. So there's a lot of different factors here that equate to what this cost is going to do. There may be, they may come up with some plans that says, okay, if we start entering into strategic agreements with local product manufacturers to be able to, fast track or streamline a particular process for the bridge. Now you're starting to look at supply chain efficiencies in related to just the bridge project. And there may be some ways to cut some costs by doing some different design plans, knowing that we're trying to accomplish, timing with the bridge construction also, not just completion.
Yeah, and you know what I was thinking of, and I don't know if this is relevant, but this is just what came to my mind from a cost and like efficiency and planning standpoint. You've got something that's so big. This isn't just one small bridge
Right.
across a small river. This is a really big thing. It's, a lot of concrete, a lot of steel, a lot of special parts, a lot of manufacturing. I mean, just when we think about the pilings for the bridge, right? And we were seeing them come in, and they're coming from the Gulf, and there are these pilings, these pipes that are 8 feet in diameter, 2 inches thick, and 220 feet long, right? And we had the pictures. They're taking the steel, they roll a section, they weld a beam across it, they rotate it 180 degrees, they take another section, they weld that, right? And then until you get a piece that's 200. I mean, how many companies and places are out there that have that expertise,
Right.
all right, and have the bandwidth in their schedule to go, okay, we want you to work on this now. And we want you to work on this now for the next year because we need 500 of these pipes, of these pilings, right? And so you have a business, and hopefully you're running at whatever, some nice capacity that has you making money 60, 70, 80%. I don't know what the numbers would be. Okay. Yeah. And so then how do you get somebody to take on this big project, right? If you really don't have the bandwidth. So guess what? Doesn't your cost go up? Because now you have to pay somebody more. And I'm half joking here. Well, I don't care what you're already doing. We need to finish this bridge. This is a priority. Yeah. Here, I'm going to give you, I don't know, 125% of normal costs for you to slide us in there and get our work done. I mean, that's how it worked. That's how it had to work at NASA sometimes.
Right.
You had this crazy part and you needed 4 of them. And somebody said, well, it's not worth it for me to make 4. We're going to have to basically bill you for 10. And you're like, well, I can't launch this satellite without this part. So
you're buying 10.
We'll pay the cost of 10 and really only get 4, maybe have 2 spares or something. And it's not all exactly related like that, but don't things like that kind of happen? Or
absolutely. If you've got a single run on a production line and the only way for you to do it is to run, more, that's the actual cost to make it happen. I mean, there's minimal costs in manufacturing and production. Sometimes you're able to find some workarounds and sometimes you're not. Sometimes that's just the price.
Yeah.
So related to the Key Bridge rebuild.
Yeah. So this is, so we had the PDF and we're going to have to show it again sometime, but so what they're going to do, if you were to look like top down at a picture of the bridge and, see like the little rectangles of where, each one of these vertical supports are for the new bridge, right? And then, so how do they get the cement out to pour these new vertical structures for the new bridge? Well, you either take the cement out there on a barge or you drive your truck over the water. Now, how are they going to do that? Most people know you can't drive an 80,000-pound truck over water. So they're going to build a temporary bridge to be able to just drive these dozens of cement trucks out there to be able to do these pours, to be able to do these new vertical supports for the bridge. And so this is the very first piling for the temporary trestle that they're going to be building. So you're going to have the key bridge, and then the existing, what's left of it, 260 feet to the south of that is where going to be the new bridge. And then off to the side of that is going to be this temporary trestle that they're going to be able to drive the trucks right up to where they need to pour the cement for the new piers for the new bridge. So this is the very first piling for the temporary trestle.
Do a load test for it?
Do
they have to do a load test for this one?
Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know of one. It would make sense that they would. But I'm imagining they only did the load test for the main piers, which are going to be, 600 feet tall.
Just curious.
And basically supporting the whole bridge, right? So, yeah, I really don't know. So that's kind of a momentous occasion that they're... and then we came across this video here. This is pretty cool. So here is, and this is... and Kiewit owns Weeks, right? Did you see right on the front of that barge, it said Weeks. This is a Weeks crane. I think this is Weeks 533. And then so here they are picking up one of these pilings for preparation to drive it. All right. And they get it vertical. And then I think that's it standing on the left there on the other side of the crane. And then imagine this, you're on this JLG lift, which is a brand name, it's actual brand name. And I know because I work there. And you're hundreds of feet up on this lift. Yeah. It looks a little sketchy. Yeah. Over water. Cantilevered out over water. So in this view, here they are picking up this giant pile driver that I think in itself weighs like 30 tons.
Kind of easy. It's just picking it up and swinging it over there.
Yep. And here in a minute, they'll get it on top of there. And it is quite the evolution, because with something this big and this heavy, it's not like throwing a baseball. You're not just going to throw it up there in 10 minutes. It takes a little bit. Now, do you have the volume? Can we hear it? Ah. And then look at the bottom, right on the waterline. See, that's the bubble curtain. Remember us talking about the bubble curtain to... it kind of takes away the shock wave of the pounding, because it can actually kill dozens or hundreds of fish.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to be able to catch that video.
Absolutely.
And then that Weeks 533 crane, remember, that's pretty famous. It also was picking the containers off the dolly after the bridge accident. And what else did it do? It picked the U.S. Airways plane out of the Hudson.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yes.
Which I either didn't know or totally forgot about until I'm just reading a random article on the internet and was like, what? Pretty cool to be able to put that together.
Yeah.
And so it hadn't started yet, but just real quickly, that dredging at Tradepoint for that new big ship channel for the new container ships, not for the new terminal, for the new container terminal at Tradepoint. That dredging is supposed to start soon. So that's interesting. Also, our friends from Curtin Marine and that giant dredge that we were on board, the DB Avalon, last year, is actually in town. They won the winter contract for dredging here. Now they're actually up in the C&D right now because the C&D had a draft restriction because they had, some fill in or some shoaling to take care of up there. So I presume that's who's going to be down here to work on that here. Just hasn't come down yet. So that'll be interesting to see, and we'll be able to watch that on camera. So much going on. There's, obviously they're doing full size pile driving has started now for the main towers of the New Key Bridge. They're putting in the smaller temp trestle piles. That has started, and it's kind of neat. I think they're actually starting to work on it from the Hawkins Point shoreline out. So it's kind of neat to see, the bridge being built from land on the way out. What else do we have going on? Also, over at Tradepoint Atlantic, they're building that new bulk system. Right? The new bulk handling system on the pier. And then I heard from a source that they're also building a new concrete system over there for offloading concrete off of ships and pumping it off the pier into a large holding area. So there's a whole nother concrete business going on over there.
Interesting.
And they're building that right by the finger pier at the same time that they're doing the other. So a lot to watch on the camera.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. A lot of stuff going on.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right. Speaking of a lot of stuff, we have quite a number of events that we're starting to collect up. So for our upcoming scheduled events, so the next one coming up is January 24th. John W. Brown is having their Winter Field Day and Radio Club out at Pier 13 on January the 24th. The Statsrad Lekmal. I would appreciate some help with
Lemkel, maybe?
Yeah, with the pronunciation on that one, is coming to Baltimore January 30th through February 5th. They've been promoting this on their social medias. I went and started doing their language translation so I could see all of their great announcements about, and they are excited about coming to the Port of Baltimore. So we're
very cool.
Excited to see them.
Yeah, so you can follow them directly on Facebook if you like.
That's right. March the 30th, My Tags is hosting a Mariners for America conference. I found out I will be organizing a panel discussion at that conference. So that'll be neat to be able to participate in that. May 17th is National Maritime Day. Our friend Bob Adams got up at the BPA meeting and explained that this may be the last time that the Savannah is in port for Maritime Day.
There you go. So now Mike's been saying that for how many? I feel like I've been saying that for years. We've only been on this podcast for a little bit over a year now, right? Well, we're coming up on 2 years in another 3 months?
Yep.
I feel like I've said that 10 times on this podcast. And I hope folks were listening because it really might be the last time.
I think this one might be. So
yeah,
as we get closer to it, you're going to want to mark this date off and be able to go see the ship, be able to walk through the nuclear containment facility.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing. I'm going to say it again. It's like Art Deco 1950s meets the Jetsons on a ship. It's real. It looks really cool. It's fascinating to be on board. You know, if you're fascinated with shipping history or nuclear history or anything in that realm, don't have regrets. Get out there for National Maritime Day and check this out. Really might be the last chance, because what's happening, right? And just stop me. You know, the NRC has been working on getting rid of nuclear decommissioning, getting rid of nuclear components on this ship. Right. And they've been paying for her to sit at this pier for years. When they're done, and nobody's going to be paying that rent anymore. And so something's going to have to happen to it. We're hoping it gets to stay here, but we don't know.
Right. Also, this summer is the Sail 250 celebration here in the port, in conjunction with the America 250 celebration nationally. So we're going to have a whole bunch of things as we continue. As we get closer, we'll start watching all of the the event announcements. We know that the Coast Guard Eagle will be in port. We'll have an air show and have sailing vessels coming in. So that's an exciting time. Also, the SS John W. Brown announced their fall steam school for November the 13th through the 25th. And so there's some information here on the screen. If you're interested in taking that course, contact them at ssjohnwbrown.org.
Right. And the specific point I wanted to make is that the tickets are on sale now.
Correct. That is correct. So if you want to get into that, get in, because it's been filling up. So that's
and people love it.
Oh yeah, it's a good time to get to work on the vessel. You get to hands-on training. It's a very good opportunity.
Right. And people think everything works like your car. You just go in and hit a button or turn a key. No. A triple steam expansion engine from 80 years ago does not work like that. And they will teach you. So pretty cool stuff.
Absolutely. And that's all I've got for today.
Okay. So Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Shipwatchers, as the sponsor for Two Guys Talking Ship podcast, we are all over the place on social media. We're on Twitch. Shout out Amy Lawrence, Instagram, Reddit, Threads, here on YouTube. We have a website full of information. There's links to the two different live cameras that you can watch and watch everything going on with the Key Bridge construction, everything going on at Tradepoint. Gosh, there's so much to do, so much to look at. Invariably, we have somebody pop on and say, hey, well, why aren't we looking at this? Well, we only got two cameras. And I mean, how cool is that there's two? So we can put them in different places. Links to this podcast. There is links to swag. You can buy t-shirts and sweatshirts and coffee cups and hats and all kinds of things to help the Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Shipwatchers support Two Guys Talking Ship podcast. We even still have 2026 photo calendars for sale, like the wall calendars. Nice. With photos that local photographers have taken here of ships that come into the Port of Baltimore. So lots of cool stuff to check out.
So if you want to listen to us, the Two Guys Talking Ship podcast, it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere else that you can listen to a podcast. So
yeah. Right, remember that we did some analysis and we found out, we're in like these 4 other places we didn't even know existed.
Somebody's listening to us in the Netherlands. That's
Oh, really?
okay.
Oh, well, I might know who that is.
Oh.
Oh no, that's well, maybe.
Okay. All right. So again, our next episode, we have a special guest coming in.
All right, we're not going to tell them who it is.
You'll have to listen. You'll have to listen to hear who the guest is.
There you go.
There you go. All right. All right. So let's count this one off.
Let's do it.
2, 1.
Happy ship watching. All right. How did that come across? Was that lousy? I don't know.
I think AI actually merges it together.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
All right. Are you pulling my leg now?
No, we're going to try it and see. We'll see.
You're going to try to pull my leg and see? Don't do that.
I'm not pulling you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a great week.